Hi, John here from House of Chaos. Tabletop scenery can be expensive and time consuming. In this video I'm going to show you how I made this scenery in one afternoon from just a cardboard box. So before I get on to actually building the ruins, what I'm going to do is prep some details, and these are going to be the doorways and these are going to be the windows. And what I've done is I've made a template, that one even, and the template of the door, just to give you a rough idea. That opening is 1 inch and the maximum height is 1.5 inches. That's about 1/4 of an inch on the way round. You can do this arches, you can do it like that if you want some dwarfing ruins. You can have a sweeping arch that peaks at the top if you want to do elves. It's really up to you. It's only going to be for detail. So what I'm going to do, bit of card, thin card. I'm just going to find a pen and I am just going to do a bunch of these quickly. So there's some doors, we'll do some windows. Oh, is that my window one? That's my window one, that's better. I think, yeah. Don't have to be mega brilliant. It is a ruin after all, or a ruin. So that template was made out of poster board. It's a bit thicker than this old. Right, now I've made all my little details, we need to start building the actual ruins themselves. What I'm going to use is double ply thick cardboard. Now I got this from a printer box. Unfortunately I had to buy a new printer. And this is going to be for the walls. This is extremely solid, it's not as rigid. And when we cut this, what I need to make sure is that those guide, the corrugation is floor upwards. So not that way when we build the walls, but that way. Going to need some of that. That's also going to be part of the base. You can walk into any sort of market and ask them if they've got cardboard around. You'll probably find that quite easily. And then you're going to want some thinner cardboard, and this will be corrugated cardboard packaging. This will be for detailing on the walls later. So let's start off. What do we need? box cutter, sharp box cutter, craft knife, pen, hot glue gun, glue for the hot glue gun, my set square. So to make things a bit easier, I have made a cardboard template which is 3 inches by 6 inches, and what I've done at the 2-inch mark, I put a line in. This will become apparent for when we put the detail in on the outside and where we want the floors to be on the inside. And I need a square edge. So before I start, that is 1 floor or 1 story. I'm going to try and put a straight line in there. Let's do that. We know that's straight there. So this building is going to have, or this room is going to have 2 walls. Now there, that's important. That's important. I'm going to put that guideline in there. And this ruin is going to be 2 floors high or 2 stories, depending on where you live. In fact, let's make this one 3 stories high, because we can. So just having this sort of basic template has given us a quick way to sketch out where we want our ruins to be. And we'll put a small floor in there, floor in there. Okay, so this is going to be the corner where we're going to have the 2 walls, so we'll be facing each other at a right angle. So I'm going to start just giving it a rough take that corner out there, take that corner out there. Maybe bring that in a bit more sweeping like that. Okay, now we've got that, what we need to do is cut it out, and this is going to be the tricky part, because double corrugation is very hard to cut. So sharp knife, do ourselves a favour and cut some of this excess off now. Really have a cutting mat underneath, but I can't be bothered to dig it out. Again, just be careful. And if you're struggling to cut cardboard, sharpen your blade, we'll put a new blade in. And then it's a matter of cutting out the battle damage. I'm only using my pen marks as a rough guideline. Once we've got that cut out, you'll notice I left this piece on the bottom here. It's because this is one of the most important cuts. This would be where the wall, corner of the walls will be, and I'm not going to cut right through. Just scoring that, not cutting right through. I'll take the bottom off. Like so. And because I didn't score that right through, there we go. Got the basic shape already. Now, I'm going to take my little tray apart. So I'm going to decide where I want my doors and windows to be. And I'm not going to cut them out. I'm going to glue these on first and then cut around them. So I'm going to put a door there. And to do that, a bit of hot glue around there. It doesn't matter if you get it on the card underneath. I'm just going to put it on like that. What I want to do with my windows is to make sure that the top of my window lines up with the top of the arch of the door frame. It don't have to be spot on, I'm just eyeballing this. And that. I'll cut my window frames first so they're at the bottom. So we know the next one's going to be about here. I'm just trying to eyeball that in a straight line, as if it was actually thought about. It had some type of, but I really need to get rid of some of this hot glue that's gone by. What's that one? Oh, that's a different one. So I'm going to do the, where did I put my window frames? Right, I obviously need, well, I've cut some window frames up and I've put them somewhere. So I'm going to do that and then we'll be back. So I've stuck window frames in and door frames. Yes, I had to make some more because I couldn't find the originals. But what I'm going to do now is I'm now going to cut out the inner parts of the door frames and the window frames. And this is the reason why I glued the frames on first, because trying to cut the door frame and then put the door frame, trying to cut the doorway out and then put the door frame on is a real pain in the arse to try and get it to line up. So to do this, I've got my craft knife and I'm going to put that in, and I'm just slowly, in a sawing motion, going to follow the shape of the door, the inner part of the door frame. And I'm going to do that to the windows and to the other door frame on this side. So just before the camera ran out of battery, I was explaining what I was going to do with these. But before that, just to let you know, while the camera was charging up, I started roughing up these edges because they looked a little bit too smooth. Right, so these parts are the bits I cut off. We're going to use these for the floors. And I've transferred that top line of my wall, or my section, to the inside to give me a rough idea. Now we know that these corners are pretty much square. So how we're going to do this, and we'll find the best piece to go in there. Hot glue, as always, along that edge. Oh, you can't see that off camera. And put it along one edge, hold that up roughly straight, line it all up to where I roughly want it to be, and prop it in like that. And then I come around this side. I know my wall's going to go in there, my floor's going to go in there, sorry. Hold that in place while the hot glue sets up. And now we've got a floor. What I'm going to do, while I can still access it, is just run a bead of glue in there and along the edge, just to reinforce it. The last thing you want to do is put miniatures on there and for it to collapse. And I'm going to do the same with this piece. Chuck it in there. So along one edge. Along both edges, even. Just glue that into place. And again, there, and then trim this up. You can see it's very light, but it's very sturdy. And the last thing I might want to do is just put a little piece in the top. So where that second story, or the third floor, if you want, finishes, and possibly where the roof ends. And we want it big enough to hold a miniature. So I'm just going to quickly, actually don't want to use that bit, I'll use this bit, it's a bit bigger. don't want it to go out beyond the walls, so something like that. Quick and rough. That's not the first time that's been said about me. A rough idea of where I want it to go. Something like that. Hot glue, more glue sticks. And then like that. And now we've got the floors in. Just going to run a quick bead along that side to hold it in place. That's the main construction done. Now it's dressing. We're going to dress the corners. We're going to put some spacers in here just to tile it up a little bit. I'm not going to worry about the inside too much. It is a ruin. To do that, I'm going to change my material to a thinner type of cardstock. Let's have a look. Sorry, a slightly thinner. So I'm just going to cut this off. Preparation is a good thing. Let's move that out of the way. So this is single ply cardboard box. And what we're going to want to do is first put buttress in for the corner. And to do that, I am going to get my set square. I know that edge is straight there. Scissors. You can use a craft knife for this if you need to, or a box cutter. Remembering to keep the actual corrugation running up and down, because that gives us the strength. We'll slightly bend that now, and then he says, desperately trying to find a colour, score a line roughly down the middle. Not cutting right through, because that would have been more than a bandage. What I want to do with this is to glue that in there, like so. To cover that corner up. So again, hot glue. This is not only covering that corner, but also adds more strength to a structure that we've built. this in. More hot glue on the top just to hold it in place. And then I'm going to start to put some details along here. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to want them about 1 inch wide, but I need to square up a corner again. And we know that's a straight edge to there. Roughly straight edge, and I know that this section on my set square is roughly an inch wide. We'll put it on that line, we know that line's straight. Ideally, if you was going to do a load of these in one day, you would prep and make as much of this stuff beforehand, but I'm just to show how easy it is to do. Let's take that edge off of there. If you can get a box cutter that's got a locking mechanism to it, all the better. A proper one. We'll talk about different types of knives in a future video. And I should be using a cutting mat underneath this. It's not doing my little crafting table much good. Move that out the way. Come back to our building. So what I'm going to do is start placing these in like that, across there, And I'm just going to really eyeball this. I'm going to take that line as a rough idea of where I want it to be. Oh, big blob of glue there. Don't want that. If you get a big blob of glue, it falls out your hot glue gun, or because you lay on its side, use the nozzle to soften it up. I'm just going to eyeball that in, like so. Press it in the spot. And do the same here. I need another glue stick. I'm going to put that one in there. Like so. And then I'm going to try and transfer so they're parallel onto this side. So again, just in there. Plenty of hot glue. Slide that up. Snigger. And then the last one, we know it's roughly along that line. Hot glue stick. And then with a craft knife, I'm just going to cut the excess off. Don't have to be particularly neat with this. It is a ruin after all. Oh, that one didn't cut. That's what we're up to now. Now, just to give it a little bit more detail, I'm going to move back to a thinner piece of card. It's my poster board. Let's take that piece off of there. This is all down to personal taste now of how far you want to go with putting some details on your ruined building. Just do it like that. For this, I'm going to go 1 centimetre approximately. Again with the scissors. Back with the building, and what I'm going to do with these is glue them in like that. I may put another bracer in there yet, I'm not sure. And again, this is just going to be eyeballing. And I want it about there. Same this side. And I want it about there. Let's take a strip of this and just put it in there. A bit more detail around the top. Same this side. Okay, so detailing, you can see I've gone off a little bit there. I should have started at the top in the centre, then worked the way down. But you get the idea. And how much of this detailing you want to do is entirely down to you. You can detail the inside, I don't bother. These are only meant to be very quick. Now we're going to move on to the base. So back to my double ply, and what I've done is I've roughly marked out where I want my base to be. I've left a bit of a ridge around here, and if you look on that side, there's quite an expansive area for the base. So I'm going to cut this out, it says, hopefully very quickly. And again, it doesn't have to be straight edge, this is a ruin. I'm not sure if you can see this. That. Building. Cool beans. What I'm going to do is grab my pen, if I can see it, which I can't. I'm going to get this roughly to where I'm going to want it to be, which is about there. And I'm just going to mark the inside of where I want the glue to go. And again, plenty of hot glue. Just reinforce those corners a bit. I'm being quite rough with the glue. Not being very careful at all. I'm just going to put a bit of weight on that while that cures up, because this will be the part, if your straight edge wasn't truly straight, this will be the part where it shows up the most. So give that a couple of minutes, or half a minute, because I'm impatient. And then we've got the base. So I'm going to clean up the edge later on. That's not coming apart anytime soon. So as you can see, we've got these rough edges. Now, you could get some sort of filler and put it in and just smooth them out. PVA and sand, it all works. What I'm going to do is use hot glue. and I'm just going to run a bead across there. Oh, you can't see it. This is really awkward. And once I've got that bead in, I'm just going to use the nozzle of the hot glue gun to spread it about. There's a joke in there about me spreading things about. You might see it better this side. Now this is very quick, and this means we can move on to painting a lot quicker. The problem with hot glue is it doesn't take acrylic paint very well. So I'm doing this because I know I'm going to spray this with some cheap black paint. And you're not going to cover up all the holes in the corrugation with this. Doing it this way. But it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to do that all the way around.
Book is $15, print on demand, plus shipping to print.
Okay, been around the edges, hot glued all that through there. Hot glued all these edges. Haven't done the base yet, I'll come back to that reason. Just thrown some glue in here. And you could do this flexible filler, PVA glue and sand, doesn't matter. So we're almost ready for painting. I'm just going to now, and this is optional extras from now onwards, you don't have to do any of this, is I'm going to get the hot glue gun with some hot glue sticks. You do go through a lot of hot glue sticks when you're making these cardboard ruins, but luckily enough you can get them reasonably cheap. I think you can get 32 for £1 in, yes you guessed it, Poundland. And I'm just going to feed my glue sticks, some more glue sticks, glue gun, some more glue sticks. I'm just going to run some of this hot glue all over it. Again, you could do this with acrylic filler, PVA sand. This is just so when we come around to painting later on, there is a bit of texture there for the glue. And for the paint, sorry, not for the glue. Do some on the inside walls. Again, it's entirely up to you now what you want to do with any of this detailing work. I'm going for a lot of hot glue sticks. The thing to remember is if you're going through them this quick, the new glue stick that you've inserted in to the back end of your hot glue gun, snigger, is going to be a lot cooler than the glue you've already pumped out. So you may have to wait a few minutes. I'm just doing squiggly lines and smudging it about, nothing at all, no plan to that at all. So as you can see, It's now giving it a bit of texture. Well, hope you can see it's giving it a bit of texture to the walls. They are ruins, so no one's going to matter. I would normally do this to the base as well, but we're going to do something a little bit different with this one. What we're going to use shall we use that? Yeah. Going back to the poster board. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a series of approximately 1-inch squares. We'll do 1 inch or 2 centimetres. Let's go 2 centimetres. So I'm going to do a series of 2 centimetre squares. Really stand up over this. Again, not being particularly anal about my straight edges. Let's do it this way. No, let's do it this way. Okay, my card was full on my camera. So I'm going to use these 2 centimetre squares and I'm just going to start building out some flooring. The most important one is always the one that goes in the corner, because we know that's more or less square. And I'm not going to cover the whole thing, we'll see how far we go. And again, I'm going to use hot glue. And I'm not spacing these out with any sort of fault to the actual size of the spacing. I am just going to go with it. So we're going to start building them in, so you get something roughly like that. You get the idea. And once I'm happy with the amount I've put in, then we'll trim them all up and we'll finish off the base. So now, pretty much finished doing any sort of detailing. I put some struts in here, laid out these cards, clipped them off a little bit, and it's just rough and ready. We're almost ready for painting now. I'm just going to run some hot glue around this edge, tidy this up a little bit, just glue that bit back in. Now when it comes to painting, you've got two choices. You can use acrylic paint from a pot, and you will need to put a couple of coats on, you'll need to get it everywhere, or use some cheap spray paint. I'm going to use spray paint because it's quicker. But on the whole, the main structure, the window frames, this bracing, all took about half an hour, so you can knock a lot of this out in an afternoon. These, like I said, this detailing part is all extras, you don't have to do it, and the purpose of this video is to show you how you can make some solid terrain from cardboard in an afternoon. So this is one of the cardboard ruins. You can see it's got a bit of weight to it now, and it's solid. I'm going to paint this very quickly with some greys. We've got my now famous dark grey that isn't dark grey. We've got a light grey. I've also got this tester pot called Granite Dust. I'm going to try this first, and I'm going to use a sponge for this. So that's it. That's how you can get a lot of scenery dead cheap in a quick space of time, or short space of time. Not brilliant, but it does the job and it's durable. The big question is, how far can you push it? This piece is 33 inches long, and let's zoom out a bit, nearly 2 foot tall at its highest point. This obviously took an afternoon in itself, so this was a bit of a side project because I still had some cardboard left over. As you can see, if you're playing 40k or any sort of war-torn bolt action futuristic sci-fi game, you can make some really cool terrain just from a cardboard box. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you've not subscribed, please do. And if you want me to try and make something else for the tabletop, please post a comment, and we'll get round to it as quick as I possibly can. Until next time, thank you for watching.
This is a House of Chaos production. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.